Hi, Taehyung lovers. Welcome back to the Taehyung lovers channel all around the world. But this time, don't you dare skip the first 3 seconds of this video. Because what happened in Tampa, Florida on April 29th, 2026 was no longer just an ordinary BTS tour closing concert. This was a night that made one entire stadium cry together. The night when the names Kim Taehyung and Jungkook shook the world with nothing but their gaze, their voices, and one backstage moment that is now going viral across international social media. And the most shocking part, many ARMY admitted they were not ready to see Taehyung's emotional side that night. In this video, we will discuss how Tampa transformed into the biggest purple ocean, the mysterious opening of Hooligan that sent chills to the stadium, the interaction between Taehyung Jungkook and Jungkook Jin backstage that made ARMY hysterical, until the very second when one sentence from Taehyung made thousands of people instantly cry in silence. Why is this concert being called one of the most emotional moments in BTS history? And what really happened that made so many fans say that night felt like the end of a major era? So watch this video until the end, because there are details that the major media did not show, and there are moments that reminded the world once again why Kim Taehyung is always considered different from other idols. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell right now. And don't forget to make this video go viral, so the world will always see the true kindness and sincerity of Kim Taehyung. Tampa, Florida, April 29. 2026 was no longer just a tour closing date. That night turned into an emotional event that was difficult to explain with ordinary logic. Even the first 3 seconds were enough to freeze an entire stadium into silence before it finally exploded into hysteria. There was no dramatic countdown, no announcer's voice, only darkness covering the entire arena. Then one bass hit shook the air like the heartbeat of a giant. In that brief moment, tens of thousands of people realized they were not attending an ordinary concert. They were witnessing a night that would be remembered for years to come. When the main screen slowly lit up and one figure stood in the middle of the stage dressed in shiny black clothing while holding a red microphone, Raymond James Stadium instantly transformed into an uncontrollable ocean of screams. That figure was Kim Taehyung, and simply by standing still, he managed to take control of the emotions of the entire stadium. One of the most entertaining moments for ARMY that night came from the spontaneous interaction between Taehyung, Jungkook, and Jungkook Jin. Backstage, the atmosphere turned full of laughter when Taehyung jokingly taught Jungkook, and Jin had a punch in a relaxed yet funny way. Not long after that, they were also seen playing guitar together in a very warm and natural atmosphere. Jungkook even jokingly lightly kicked Taehyung while laughing, making Jin immediately react dramatically and triggering loud laughter throughout the backstage area that was connected to the stadium screen. That simple moment actually became one of the most talked about parts among fans because it felt so human and sincere. Many ARMY said BTS has always felt different because their relationship looks real, not just interactions created for the camera. The aura of that night felt different from the beginning. Taehyung's calm yet sharp gaze radiated charisma that did not feel forced. The dim light reflected on his outfit, creating a dark and mysterious atmosphere that immediately spread throughout the entire arena. There were no excessive movements, no forced expressions. In fact, it was that calmness that made tens of thousands of ARMY scream hysterically without stopping. Many fans were seen covering their own mouths while crying when the close-up camera showed Taehyung's face on the giant LED screen. The stadium, which had been silent just seconds earlier, suddenly turned into an explosion of sound that shook Tampa that night. Thousands of purple light sticks moved together like giant living waves, creating a scene that many fans call one of the most emotional moments in BTS concert history. When the intro of the song Hooligan began echoing throughout the stadium, the atmosphere changed drastically. The ha 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 section heard through the massive sound system instantly created an effect that gave many people chills. The stadium cameras captured the shocked faces of the audience, some screaming hysterically, others crying without being able to control their own emotions. Clips of that opening performance immediately spread across international social media within minutes. Many fans call the performance one of the most intense and emotionally overwhelming opening performances in the modern BTS concert era. But what made that night even more extraordinary was not only performance on stage, but also the natural chemistry happening behind the scenes and in between the concert moments. Since the afternoon, Tampa had already shown signs that the night would become something huge. The airport was filled with fans from different countries. Hotels in downtown were completely full. Roads leading to the stadium were jammed with thousands of people dressed in purple, carrying banners and light sticks. Many local residents admitted they had never seen their city change so drastically just because of one music concert. The area around the stadium transformed into a living global festival throughout the night. But all the chaos outside the stadium felt small compared to the emotional explosion happening inside the arena. When the concert started, there was no longer any boundary between the stage and the audience. Everything felt united in one massive shared energy. Thousands of people sang every song without missing a single lyric. Their voices sounded like one giant wave moving together, following the rhythm. In the middle of all that, Taehyung became the center of gravity of the night. Every time the camera focused on his face, the stadium instantly exploded with screams. But what touched people the most was not only his visuals, but also his expressions that looked incredibly sincere. Several times he smiled softly while looking around the entire stadium, as if he wanted to remember every face present that night. The simplicity of the way Taehyung stood, laughed, and enjoyed the stage actually created an emotional impact far greater than any grand performance. Meanwhile, Jungkook appeared with warm and energetic energy, keeping the atmosphere alive and full of excitement. Their interaction felt natural, full of closeness, and succeeded in creating an incredibly strong emotional connection with fans. As the concert approached the end, the atmosphere slowly became far more emotional. The roar of the stadium gradually softened. The main lights turned into a gentle purple color, filling the entire arena. The members stood facing the ocean of ARMY, who continued crying while waving their light sticks. When Taehyung spoke in a soft and calm voice, the stadium suddenly fell completely silent. He said that the fans were everything to them. That simple sentence became an emotional blow that made thousands of people unable to hold back their tears anymore. Cameras captured audience members hugging their friends, covering their faces with both hands, and standing still while crying in silence. One of the most viral moments that night showed a little girl in the middle section of the stadium covering her mouth while crying silently. The purple light from the stage reflected on her face and created an emotional image that immediately spread across the world. Many fans called that clip a symbol of what truly happened in Tampa that night. Because the concert was not only about music, but about the deep emotional connection between BTS and millions of their fans. When the final song ended and purple confetti began falling from the sky of the stadium, the crying actually became even louder. The members continued waving their hands, trying to preserve the final moments with ARMY. But even after the main lights were turned off, thousands of people still stood in their places, as if they were not ready to leave the moment behind. Because for them, the night in Tampa was not just a tour closing. It was an experience that changed the way they viewed music, togetherness, and the meaning of being present in the right moment with the right people. And among all the cheers, tears, and purple lights filling the stadium that night, two names continued echoing the loudest: Taehyung and Jungkook. Not only because of their incredible performances, but because they managed to make one stadium full of people feel personally connected. Tampa, April 29th, 2026, finally left one conclusion that was difficult to deny for anyone who was there that night. This was not just a concert. This was a living emotional event. Thank you for watching until the end, Taehyung lovers. And after seeing everything that happened in Tampa that night, one thing has started making the world wonder. Why did the April 29th, 2026 concert feel like the end of something much bigger? From Taehyung's calm gaze, the warm chemistry with Jungkook, to the stadium turning into an ocean of purple tears, everything left an emotional mark that cannot be explained with ordinary words. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoy content like this. But if you don't like it, feel free to skip it, because the Taehyung Lovers channel never forces anyone. Write your opinions in the comments section, because ARMY's voice will always be an important part of this story. And don't forget to make this video go viral, so the world continues to see the true sincerity and kindness of Taehyung. Keep Keep following the next developments only on Taehyung Lovers, because it could be that what happens after Tampa will be far more shocking than what the world imagines right now.